London, 1400s. Stop. Forget the fairy tales. This wasn't a kingdom, it was a slaughterhouse. First, the silence. 2 princes, locked in the tower, erased by their own blood. No bodies, no answers. Then, the machine, a wooden beast in Westminster. Clack, clack. Weaponizing ink, shattering the chains of ignorance. Finally, the mud. A king hacked down. A crown stolen from a cold corpse. 3 moments. 1 brutal transition. The Middle Ages didn't just end, they were murdered. This is the story of how a city drowned in blood to birth the modern world. The ghosts are waiting. Are you brave enough to look? What cuts deeper, the sharp cold of a blade on a battlefield, or the fading footsteps of your own flesh and blood, locking the heavy door behind them, leaving you in eternal silence? Summer 1483. London wasn't just suffocating from the heat. It reeked of treason. Edward Defoe, a 12-year-old king without a crown, and his brother Richard, 9, dragged into the shadow of the Tower of London by their uncle, Richard III. The excuse? Protection. The reality? A slaughterhouse. History proves that in the Game of Thrones, family is not a sanctuary. It's a pawn. A sacrifice. Slowly, the princes vanished. No more laughter in the courtyard. No more faces at the stone window. Just void. They dissolved into the air like the thick mist over the Thames, leaving an empty throne for a monster's ambition. It wasn't just murder, it was erasure. A perfect crime. No witnesses, no bodies. Not until 1674, when workmen dug beneath a staircase and found them. 2 small, fragile skeletons. Silent witnesses to a royal betrayal. This 1483 tragedy screams a brutal truth. In medieval London, noble blood was not a shield. It was a target. It was a death warrant, but the darkness of the tower wasn't the only force rising. While the nobility was busy purging each other with poison and daggers, a different kind of weapon was being assembled in a quiet corner of Westminster. It had no blade. It spilled no blood. Yet, it possessed the power to topple empires faster than any army ever could. What destroys an empire's control faster than anything else? Not poison, not the sword. It is information. Forget the roar of cannons or the screams of the condemned. The most terrifying, destructive sound to the feudal order of 15th century London was a dry, monotonous clack-clack echoing from a small room in Westminster. In 1476, William Caxton brought a wooden beast to England. The printing press. Before that fatal moment, knowledge was a luxury. Locked tight within expensive handwritten manuscripts, reserved only for kings and clergy. The masses were left in the dark, kept ignorant to be easily ruled, but Caxton took a hammer to that cage. His machine, tireless and relentless, spat out thousands of pages, replicating ideas at a speed no army of scribes could match. The chaotic dialect of London was suddenly molded, standardized, and spread like a virus into every alleyway. This wasn't just printing. It was a cognitive coup d'etat. A literate peasant is a dangerous peasant. The press turned words into weapons, sharper than cold steel, forcing the nobility to face a new enemy they couldn't behead: public opinion. Caxton didn't just print books. He printed England's future. But as the light of knowledge began to creep into London's darkest corners, the fields outside were waiting to drink blood one last time. A red storm was gathering on the horizon. These sharp words needed an iron hand to guide them. An exile was returning, carrying the ambition to end all wars with one final, brutal slaughter. Peace is never free, it is bought. And in 1485, the currency was the blood of a king. For 30 years, England had torn itself apart. The Wars of the Roses had turned the lush fields into graveyards, and London was exhausted. The city watched kings rise and fall like tides, offering no loyalty, only survival. Then came Bosworth Field. Richard III, the last Plantagenet, fought like a demon, but died like a dog, hacked down in the mud. They say the crown of England was found under a hawthorn bush, stained with grime and gore, before it was placed on the head of the exile, Henry Tudor. That image strips away all the romance of royalty. Power isn't divine, it's plundered. Henry VII didn't just march into London as a soldier, he arrived as the ultimate pragmatist. He understood that swords win battles, but symbols win wars. He merged the warring houses, forcing the white rose and the red rose to fuse into the Tudor rose. It wasn't a marriage of love, it was a political shackle that bound the chaos. The Middle Ages died that day. London opened its gates, not to a hero, but to a stabilizer. The era of knights was over. The era of accountants and merchants had begun. The Tudors brought a golden age, yes, but never forget, the foundation of this glorious dynasty wasn't marble. It was the rotting corpse of the old world, buried beneath the celebration. From the silent screams in the tower, to the mechanical revolution of the press, to the final brutal stroke at Bosworth, London survived it all. The chaos of the 1400s forged the iron spine of a city that would soon rule the world.